Thank you very much. It's always a little difficult following Rick Rule, but one of the things that he did say was look for management teams which have done it before in the same stages, in the same place. I'm actually the executive chairman. I fired myself as CEO about 5 years ago and replaced myself with Peter Tagliamonte. Peter built the Jacobina mine for Desert Sun in Brazil, which is still operating, owned by Yamana now. He was CEO of Soledad. That was taken over 4 years ago and is now part of Pan American Silver. He was also the CEO of Central Sun, which is the foundation of B2 Gold. It was also taken over. So we do have a management team which has done this before, similar stage companies, and often called Sun, Desert Sun, Central Sun, and now we have Belo Sun. The next slide that's going to come up is the corporate structure. About 65% of our shares are owned by gold funds and insiders. So we have the world's biggest gold funds like BlackRock are investors, Franklin just down the road from here, and Sun Valley, which is a specialist gold fund which has a 10-year view. They own around 24%. Our market capitalization at the moment is around 260 million Canadian dollars, so around 200 million US. We've got just over 30 million in cash, so we're in good shape. Good research coverage from the Canadian banks, and from John Doody on the Gold Stock Analyst also has us in his top 10. The project is located in Brazil. It's the Volta Grande project. We're in Pará State. Pará State is the second most active mining state in Brazil, and their aim is to be the most active. We have very good support at the local level and from the governor of the state. We did our environmental studies about 6 years ago. We got our first license, and then we got our construction license 2 years ago. Unfortunately, a group in Brazil challenged our construction license and wanted us to do more studies on the local communities, and a judge agreed with him. And so we've spent 18 months completing studies, which we should be handing in before the end of the year, so we should be back in construction mode in the first quarter of next year. So we have excellent infrastructure, which is always important. We're near the town of Altamira, which has good airports, good hospitals, and quite a big mining industry. There's a big Caterpillar service center there. The project's accessible by road. And the other thing for large open pit mining projects is power. And the Belo Monte hydro project is about 20 kilometers from us, and that is the third largest in the world. And it's going to produce 11,000 megawatts. So just onto the project, you can see from this slide, we're going to produce about 270,000 ounces a year for the first 10 years. The mine has a 17-year mine life, and we've got mineral reserves of just under 4 million ounces, and we haven't drilled for the last 6 years. We've been busy with feasibility studies and permitting. Interesting enough, when we did the feasibility study, we used $1,200 gold and a RAI of 3.1 to 1 to the US dollar, and that gave us a very respectable post-tax NPV of 665 million and an IRR of 26%. If we plug into our models today's gold price of $1,500 and the RAI of 4 to 1, you can see what it does. So you don't need to be sub-economic to get a big bang from a move in the gold price. Our post-tax NPV is now 1.45 billion US dollars, and the post-tax IRR is 57.6%. And I'm willing to bet that that's, for a greenfield site, that's about as good as you're going to see in this industry. So if you just look here, you can see on the charts, and I have copies of the presentation at my booth in the other room. You can see how the payback and the cash flow we're going to generate and the average grade. So I'm not going to read every part of that slide to you. This is just the economics and how we're going to perform. So we're going to mill about just under 7 million tons a year, and it said the average gold grade recovered is going to be 1.38. Recovery is around 93%, and we're using gravity and CIP. And the mining all-in sustaining cash costs are $779. I'd say that was based on a RAI of 3.1, so it's probably significantly lower than that now. And one of the questions I'm often asked is, with the RAI depreciating, has it led to inflation? And you can see when you look at the mining costs here, we've remodeled them all, and you can see that we've basically gone from $1.89 a ton to $1.90 a ton. And the actual processing has dropped, so that's dropped from $8.10 to $7.58. So as I mentioned, you can see the economics, and we're also robust at lower gold prices, which is good and certainly makes it easier to finance and lowers our cost of capital significantly. The capital to build the project is around $300 million US, and our intention at the moment is to go with a joint venture with either a larger mining company or a private equity fund where we would sell at the asset level. I have most of my wealth tied up in this company, and I have no desire to dilute my ownership by continuous share issuance. And so we'd rather deal at the asset value. As I mentioned, the market cap's 200 million. The NAV of the project's 1.5 billion. So this is the cash flow we generate at $1,500 gold. So you can see it's under a 2-year payback for the capital. So we're not having a problem attracting people who are interested in coming in as partners. As well as the Volta Grande project, we control a complete greenstone belt. It's 180 kilometers long. It's got historical workings on it all along it. I mean, this is like owning all of Val-d'Or and Rouyn-Noranda. I mean, for a company our size to be able to control a complete greenstone belt is truly unique, and that also attracts attention. And this asset, the Volta Grande project, has a 7-year mine life. You go 5 miles down the road, we've got the South Block, and that already has 700,000 ounces defined with very little drilling done on it. At the Volta Grande project, we drilled over 200,000 meters, and on the South Block, I think we've drilled about 60,000. Nothing happening? Yeah, and this just illustrates where we are now and where we were in 2009 on the Volta Grande project and what we think we can do on the South Block, which is brownfield. It's only 6 kilometers away. So post-payback mine life, I mean, that's an important thing. How much cash are the shareholders going to receive after this is built? And again, we're best in class there. And a big chunk of it is because of the capital efficiency. And if you look at the initial capital as a percentage of the NPV, you can see that we're at 45%. I mean, it's amazing how some of these, and this is a $1,200 gold. It's amazing how many mining projects that are being built at the moment, the capital is greater than the NPV after the capital's been subtracted. So just to summarize, we're in a very good country with Brazil. We've got a new president who's very supportive of mining, particularly in the northern part of Brazil where we are. We have a strong cash position, which we've been sort of careful with for the last 4 years since we last raised money. We've done all the hard work on the permitting. We've got the perfect production profile, the sort of just under 300,000 ounces, very good economics, big resource, and going back again, we've got management with experience in Brazil. They've been there. Peter Tagliamonte, the CEO, fluent in Portuguese, lived in Brazil for 15 years. Not surprisingly, has a Brazilian wife after that time. The other thing is the local communities. This is more and more important in mining now. You have to earn a social license to operate. And this area is an area of historical artisanal mining, as they call them, garimpeiros in Brazil. And we've worked hard with the communities. We've done training. We're going to employ a lot of people from there. And the municipality, in Brazil, you pay a 1.5% royalty to the government, 2/3 of which goes back into the municipality. And the municipality we're in is going to go from the bottom decile in terms of per capita income to the top decile just by the construction of this project. And that's why we get such strong support in Brazil. Thank you very much for listening.